What do we think? Can I? Hey lovelies, I hope you're ready for a little mashup 2-for-1 video today. I have to say I apologize for not really having the time to do a dedicated video on the brand new Nomad America's Route 66 palette. It wasn't for lack of wanting to. I have just been traveling for work and working some really long days, and so I just couldn't slide it in there. And I know that there is a lot of dedicated content on this out there today. I do want to share my thoughts today, which I am going to do, and I am quickly going to show you 2 looks, including this one today. Surprise, surprise. So I also, though, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I have wanted to do a ranking of my Nomad palettes because I do have quite a few. Some I purchased, some that were sent in PR, and I love palette ranking videos. I just enjoy it, and so I enjoy making them as well. So we're gonna do that today. If you are here for one or the other of those things, I will have chapters listed down below. Feel free to click around to your heart's content, or feel free to hang out with me for the entire video because I would really enjoy that. But if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist. And here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. All right, I do have to say that this one in particular was sent to me in PR. I do have a code with the brand that will save you on your Nomad purchases. You can use the code KEEPBEAUTYREAL, and it is not affiliated, by the way, and of course I'm going to be keeping it real through this video. You will find that my thoughts on palettes from this brand sort of vary, so stick around for that palette ranking. So before we dive in here, just a few quick notes on this palette. It is $49 and available on the website now. It is code eligible, so again, you can use my code if you choose to do so. And she's a beaut. She really is a beaut. I just think that this is a fun color story. We are not going to dive too deep into this because, again, I know that there is a ton of content here, but I did want to share with you my thoughts and sort of where my creative heart went initially with using this palette. All right, since this is a 2-for-1 video, I don't want to keep this too long. Let's get into my thoughts about this new beauty, and then you'll get to see what my #1 palette is and also the one that's at the bottom of the pile for me. Good morning. I cannot wait to get some fun bright eyeshadow on these eyes today. It is kind of dreary and it looks a little stormy right now, so nothing better than a little bright makeup. I think I'm gonna go with the green, y'all. I'm gonna go with the green in the palette. It's just what makes sense for the day. And I think I'm going to dip into some of the deeper shades. I don't really think I'm gonna do anything like drastic as far as technique here, so I'm just going to show you how I did this really quick. I know that this is probably going to be a pretty long video, and the whole point of this is just for you to see some of the shadows in use, and if you've watched any other content, you've probably already seen some of that anyway, so I want to keep it brief. All right, let's zoom in and get some makeup. All right, to get started, I'm going to use some of the Nars Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. I've just been trying to use this up. It's not bad by any means, but it's not great. Like, I wish that it had a little coverage as far as like a bit of a tint, which it obviously doesn't. So at this point, I'm just trying to use it up before it goes bad. So I'm gonna put this on and then tap on a little bit of translucent setting powder, which is just the way that I always prime my eyes. All right, I just dusted a bit of translucent setting powder from my crease and up, and then just left the bit of moisture on my lid in hopes of keeping that shimmer shadow on. So, you know, it'll just kind of hopefully make it a bit more stick-to-itive. So I'm going in with that green. Ooh, look at that. That's so fun. All right. Okay, look how fun that shade is. By the way, I am sorry if my whole skin sitch looks scary right now. I actually don't have my moisturizer on yet. I put my serums on, but I figured if I have any fallout, I'll just whisk it away and then I can put moisturizer on anyway. So I think I'm gonna do maybe a little bit of like a soft halo, like just pop a matte on the inner and outer corner. I'm totally just like rolling with this. I had not many plans as far as what we were gonna do. Not many plans at all. So let's go ahead and go through with On the Road again. That's that mid-tone, almost like caramely brown, and I'm gonna put that on the inner and outer corner. And I realize, you know, in most of my palette videos, I do, you know, swatches a lot of the time, and I'll show, you know, up close of the palette and all the things. And I know that this one has been out for a bit now, and I know that there's so much content out there that I really, I just don't think that it's probably necessary. I was really excited when I saw the sneak peeks of this because I saw, you know, a few pops of color. I was seeing some neutrals. I was like, ooh, this one I think has some serious potential. And obviously, I was right. At least right for my makeup taste. Didn't I say that this was going to be a short tutorial? Okay, I should probably shut up. So I'm just going to keep building that a little bit and then we'll continue on. Right, I apologize if it is really dark because it's really dark. I have all my lights on, but I don't want to like blow it out too much with light because then you just can't see that like accurate color. So now I'm just going to take my Rephr 14. This is such a trusty like soft crease brush for me. I'm going to go into that end of the trail. That's that like sandy mustard shade. And I'm just kind of like dust this above everything. So I'm starting where the green is and then bringing it to the sides just so that it doesn't get murky on my brush. This is such a great color, especially if you have like warmer olive skin. I think you're really gonna love this shade. I feel like there have been so many peachy or pinky toned earthy neutrals, like more like these, you know, some of these, like this peachy, this has been going on a lot, but we haven't seen anything on the like olivey, almost mustardy yellow side of things. So I'm happy to see it. So I originally did not plan on doing more of like a halo eye situation. I do like to see usually a little shimmer come up and over. And so I think I'm gonna take a bit more of Rest Haven on my brush and just pop that up like so that you can kind of just see it a little bit above the crease. Then it almost just looks like I sort of like used my finger without having to use my finger. But you know, it's got that like carefree vibe. I'm liking that with colorful looks, just something that's like a bit softer. I'm also gonna tap it just where it meets the brown. I tell you what though, that brown shade, that On the Road Again, that came up pretty dark. That's not even the darkest brown in the palette. Like that's the second to darkest. So you're gonna get like an almost black vibe out of Cadillac Ranch. So that's nice to know you've got that depth in the palette. I don't know that I want to go that dark today. Honestly, I have to hop on a Zoom call for work in a little bit, and I just feel like having really dark eyes can just really make you look pretty shrunken on camera. So I don't necessarily want to do that, but at some point I'm going to make a really deep, rich look with this. I'll probably post it on Instagram, so make sure you're following me at Keep Beauty Real. All right, now for a lash line. I'm not quite sure where I want to go with that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just throw on some quick, easy makeup on the rest of my face, and we can figure it out from there. Okay, what a difference some brows and some bronzer make. In case you're curious, I put a concoction on my face as far as foundation goes, but I talked in my favorites video for this last month about pulling out a face palette each month to use for like easy peasy days, and I pulled out my Cheek Leaders palette. I rarely use this, and so I really love the Hoola and the Dallas bronzers. The other products in here I just never seem to reach for. I put California on today, and I really had to dig into it. I feel like it's hard pan, so I might need to like scratch over that. But that's really all I had on other than copious amounts of brow pencil. A little more than I thought I was going to do. All right, so now lash line. I think I'm just gonna go through with this light, almost like dusky celery shade on the lower lash line. I think it's gonna keep it nice and soft. I am really liking this shape. I did notice though that it's a little bit harsh, right, on these edges. So I'm just gonna take my brush with a bit of that End of the Trail shade and just fling this out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take a pencil brush and we'll take that other shade on the lower lash line. Just keeping it pretty soft and simple. And I am going to use Gateway Arch for my inner corner. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit down to see if I like it. When I do a halo eye, I usually don't put on an inner corner just because I feel like it kind of takes away from the shimmer of the halo, but I do want to try just so that we can all see that shade. Yeah, this isn't showing up crazy well on my skin tone, which I didn't think it would, especially on like my lower lash line, you know, where I've got like the shadow of my lashes. Honestly, I probably have a little bit of staining from what I wore yesterday. So, you know, we're giving it a go. Okay, so let's take a little bit of that gateway arch, and I'm just going to use this on a dry brush just to keep it a little bit like lighter. And by lighter, I mean like wispier, more ethereal. This one is really pretty. I think under normal circumstances where I'm not doing more of a halo eye, I would love it. Wet, it would probably be super pretty. I mean, I don't know that it's like a shade that we've never seen before, but it's got some really nice glisten to it. Totally did not keep this as a short eye look, by the way. This is gonna be the longest video of all time. Okay, I'm gonna go put on some mascara. I will see you in just a minute. All right, I love it. It's green, it's fresh, it's a little bit neutral, but very bright. And I love all the things about that. I'm not really surprised. I had a feeling once I put this green on, I was really going to enjoy it. I have to say it's all of the things that I have loved about Nomad in the past. I absolutely love how easy it was to put on the lid shimmer. No problems, no texture. It looks great. Minimal fallout, a little bit of fallout, but not too crazy. The mattes blended and blurred exactly as I would expect Nomad. This is exactly what I love. A pop of good color with some grounding neutrals. This is how I'm wearing color these days. I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this palette, I think. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know if you're a green lover too. Now you'll get to see how I did the look that you saw in the intro of this video. All right, I'm gonna take a bit of a risk and put on some eye makeup after I've already done my complexion. It's just what we're gonna do. I will say that in the past, I have definitely found that compared to other formulas, Nomad usually has very minimal fallout. Fingers crossed that that's the way it stays. I maybe should have just waited on the concealer. Oh well, that's all right. So I think I am just going to do something kind of like warm neutrals, just play with a few of the shades that we haven't used yet. I do have to say, as there's noise going on outside, that I really do just love the combination of a few colorful pops in here with the beautiful like warm shades over here, and then these sort of softened, murky, colorful tones, you know, where it's not like a bright teal. The greens are a bit softer. I really love this. I don't know. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with this one yet, but I think it'll be fun. Fun. You've already gotten to see it, so I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly. So we're going to begin with the lid shade. I'm going to go through with Winslow. You're probably not surprised. This is such a pretty shade. I will say that I think that Nomad has quite a few shimmers that are similar to this in other palettes, but I do find that oftentimes the dimension and the texture of the shades are just different enough in these. I love the fact that this is such a smooth, buttery shade. You do have a couple different textures in here, in my opinion. So this one, I'm honestly, selfishly picking this because it is smooth, and so I think we'll have the least amount of fallout. We shall see. So I've got the shade on a wet brush. Let me actually just zoom you in a little bit more here. There we go. This is, to me, the epitome of a summer shade. You know, you can easily, like if I were just looking for a really quick look, I could put this on. I'd probably put this on wet, go through with a bit dry on the outer edge. Actually, maybe I'll just do that to show you. So I'm gonna take a different brush, just dry, as this kind of dries down, because dry, it's going to be a bit more soft. This is a little risky to do with with my complexion done, but I'm going to pop a bit of that on the edge because it'll be a little bit softer there, and then I can just sort of buff it out. You could use like a fluffier brush to do this part too. So it could be as simple as this, you know, just that like summer easy vibes. I am going to add some mattes and sort of build up the shape a bit. Right, so I'm taking that dusky peach shade, Gemini Giant, and just at the very edge, just blowing out this shape. I mean, I just think that this is such a simple, fresh look. And because I'm going to put a pop of color on the lower lash line, which, by the way, can we please bring that back? I just think that I know it was very like, what would that have been? in like 2010-ish. I don't even know when we were doing that, but I do like that. So I'm gonna bring it back. I'm bringing it back for today, but I just want this to be a very like blown out, wide shape, but I don't want it to be like Mimi from the Drew Carey show, so I'm just using the softest shade. If I wanted to, I could go through with Go West. So we just popped on this one. If I wanted it a little bit more deep, I could go through with this one, but I think I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. I like this easy, effortless. I was kind of teeter-tottering between using Blue Whale and Scenic Byway, but I do think I'm gonna go with Scenic Byway today. So we're just gonna run that one on the lower lash line, and we'll have our little pop of color. And I'm just taking a moment to dab what's on my brush onto my lash line before buffing anything in so that I don't get a lot of fallout. Although, like I said, it's usually pretty minimal with Nomad Cosmetics. Okay, I think I have a liner that is closest to this color, so I think that would be really fun to throw on my waterline, and I'm gonna pop on some mascara and I'll be right back. Yeah, okay, I am here for this. So I did find, I have this About Face liner in the shade Call Me Crazy. Call me crazy, but this is an almost exact match for that shade in the palette. So I am here for this. Let me tell you, this is bringing me back a little bit of a ways. Maybe this is a dated look. Do I care? No, I love it. So totally here for it. Absolutely. I mean, these are obviously the shades that I'm going to be drawn to in this palette, but it's great. You know, it's wearable, it's usable, which is exactly what I need if I'm going to be spending my money to buy eyeshadow these days. Not that I spent money on this, obviously, but if I was going to, it would need to be something that I could have some fun with, but that I could also just pull out mindlessly. So I do have to say I have some final thoughts on this palette. I'm just going to share a little bit of that in brief, and then we will throw that into my rankings. All right, lovelies, I hope you enjoyed getting to see a couple quick looks using this palette. She's a beaut. Honestly, she is a beaut. I have to say that this for me, like I just said, this for me is exactly what I want in a palette. While this doesn't nail all of my personal color choices, it is such a great little combo of those wearable, shall we say, like I hate that word, but like easy throw on shades. You've got some beautiful warm tones. I do think because these do lean, I mean, these though, they have a bit of like that peachy tone to them. Like this one has enough of a bit of pink to it that I think someone with cool toned skin could wear this, but I think that these are gonna look really warm on someone with cool tones, but you could obviously pop these on as well. And like even this I think is a pretty wearable shade if you were like a lighter skin tone. Anyway, I am totally, I'm totally getting away from what I was saying, but I like the fact that we have some kind of easy to use shades paired with these brights. Now, the brights to me, like this center row here is very like, it's those 80s brights. These ones through the middle have less dimension, but more tonality, you know, like they really just have that very, very like bright color to them, but they really don't have a lot of multi-tone shimmer to them. They are just going to be straight color. And I mean, really, these shades do evoke that like neon sign kind of vibe, you know, sort of that like roadside, either hotel attraction, like whatever, just those brights. So that does have to be something that you get into. I will mostly pair these with neutrals. Like that is going to be how I wear these, is that like beautiful pop of color, whether it's on a lash line or whether it's on the lid, and then soften it out. Like that's just where I am right now in the way that I like to wear makeup and color. But you could certainly, I mean, you could totally like pop these with the blues, the teals here, and sort of enhance that a little bit, but I'll probably like stick to the slightly like duskier shades. I know that I won't get any use out of this blue. Like I'll probably wear it like once this summer to just have like a fun blue pop with a tan, but that's one, you guys know, that's just not a shade that I usually go for, but I do think it could be pretty like grounded with some neutrals. Other than that, I'm probably going to get some serious use out of all of these shades. At first, I wasn't quite sure about the green, but I do think that that's going to be like a fun summer yum shade. Like I'll probably pop it on with this over here. So I think it's a great one. I think it's a great one. Now let's go ahead and see where it ranks in my collection of Nomad palettes. All right, I have got all of my palettes here. By the way, there are over 20. I think just over 20. Maybe I counted wrong, but I think that's right. I have 20 palettes here. Of course, all of these are not available anymore, like not all of them, but I'm still gonna go through them in case you are just really like intrigued by a color story, you want to know my thoughts on it, maybe you're shopping on Mercari or somewhere, you know a friend who's maybe getting rid of theirs, whatever it might be. I just like to go through all of them, and maybe it will remind you to pull out the Nomad palettes that you already own. Okay, I've got a big old coffee here. We got a big old pile of palettes to get through. So let's start at the bottom. So I would not be surprised, in all honesty, I would not be surprised if people who have quite a few of this brand's palette, if they put this one at the bottom. This is, oh, I know this is sort of like, oh, the suspense. So I just want to make a note that in some circumstances, I am going to be ranking these low simply because of the color story, right? Like it might not be my preference. I also wonder if I'm really trying not to take seasonal preferences into this, you know, like just in general, because here we are in mid-May. So I want to make sure that I'm not just putting the palettes that I would use in the summertime at the top here. I will kind of like go into things as we get in here. But when it is just more of like a color story preference, things like that, I will make note of that. But this is partially color story preference, but also formula preference. So the Verona palette from Nomad is at the bottom of my list. Like I said, formula wise, it was the shimmers in here. Like all of these got super hard panned. Like they were really hard to work with, and the brand was kind enough to send out, they said that they were having some issues, and so they resent out the shimmers. I really honestly did not get much better luck with the shimmers that they sent me again. Also, this color story, it's just not one that I would reach for a lot. I mean, there are like no real neutrals in here, and I like to have a little bit of that in a colorful story. It just makes it more wearable to me. And when I say wearable, I mean what I like to wear. You can wear whatever you want. You can wear this bright pink all the way up to your eyebrows if that's your jam. I don't care. But I don't know. I just wasn't drawn into this story. It's okay. I bet if the formulas worked better, like I was really, really excited about this shade here, and it did not perform anything like what I would have wanted it to. So this one has been a pass for me. Honestly, at this point, I should probably like maybe pass this along to someone who would enjoy the mattes, because I'm sure like they will love the mattes in here. I've always really loved Nomad's mattes. Like pretty much across the board, they have all been pretty good. Of course, sometimes, you know, you get a random one in just any brand where you're like, that isn't like normally what I would think of from the brand. But I really find that most of the time they are. But off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific shade that I've had that with, but I really do feel like they are just great. So if somebody just wanted the mattes out of this and they were willing to like fuss with these shimmers, then maybe they would like that. So I might just need to pass this on. I've honestly been waiting to do a rankings video, and so I wanted to have that on. Okay, the next one, and this is more than anything just a color story for me decision. And I will say I enjoyed the looks that I got out of this. I had fun playing with this one. It's just not one that I will use a lot. And this is the Fuji 5 Lakes palette. So for me, as someone who knows color theory and like what happens when you start blending some of these things together, I think that this is a limited palette in the ways that you can put combos together. Or it could be helpful if you want to use color theory to your advantage, I guess. So we obviously essentially have the three primaries, right? We've got yellow, blue, and red in here. So right now I might as well just tell all of you, if you didn't know already, I am not someone who wears blue eyeshadow very frequently. So most of the time when you see blues in a palette, especially if they are like mid-tone blues, I'm not really gonna mess with that too much. So some of these I just won't wear that often. But if you think about it, you have one sort of like beigey, sort of like almost mocha moussey shade in here, but you don't have any other neutrals. But if you really wanted to, like if you're really struggling and wanted to, you can take all three of these and create a brown. So you could take the mid-tone yellow, the mid-tone red, and the mid-tone blue, although this is a little bit dusky, and create a brown. But this is also what will happen. You have red and blue. When you start touching those shades together, if you are blending them together, you're going to start getting purple. You have red and yellow. You're going to start getting orange. You have blue and yellow. You're going to start getting green. So it's really hard to create looks that aren't going to get kind of blendy weird with this, unless that's what you want, unless you are wanting to create those secondary colors out of that. So I will say, like, I love these yellows in here. I have enjoyed using these reds. I really enjoyed everything I got out of this palette. Like, I liked the looks that I got out of this palette. It's just, I don't know, like, I mean, these two shades, even this one up here, like, these make my heart so happy, but I just don't see pulling this out for these shades because I have these shades in other palettes. I probably even have some of these shades in these other palettes. So that's why this one is towards the bottom for me. We're gonna have to go faster than this or we're gonna be here till next year. All right, this one's gonna be quick and easy. Polar Express, great palette, enjoyed using it. Again though, we have three blues, especially these two lighter blues, not my fave, just as far as like what I like to wear. We have an icy silver, also not something I really wear a lot of. I really enjoyed the looks that I got out of this. Again, I mean, I like this charcoaly shade. I like this, like this is cute. In fact, even this blue I can get down with, and I enjoyed having the white for like a white inner corner. That was a lot of fun. It's just, there's a lot of blue in here. It's not something I think of. Now, I will probably pull this out around the holidays to play with this a bit to see, you know, what I can kind of come up with. I had good luck with this palette. It's great quality. It just wasn't one that like tripped my trigger all that much. Oh, and by the way, when we get into the palettes that aren't available anymore, I will let you know. The Verona palette is not available anymore. I wouldn't recommend that one anyway. All right, Whistler Snow Lodge. Now, I honestly can't remember if I purchased this one or if I was sent it in PR. I feel like I purchased this one, but this might have been the first PR one that the brand sent me. I honestly can't remember. So, and part of the reason why I think I did get it in PR, but maybe I just got like sucked in because I just really love Nomad, is because of all the blues. The blues in here, y'all. That is really the only reason that this one is sort of in the mid-range, is because of the blues, because you do have 4 of them in here. And again, you've got some shades that are on the lighter side. I had a lot of fun with this palette. I haven't reached for it in a while, but it was fun. I do enjoy that we have some like earthy greens. You know, you have the pop of red. This was, of course, it came out in the winter time, so it does make like a little unexpected holiday story. Like this, I mean, this bucking great. I loved this green, like beautiful. And this matte formula was so easy to use, so like just works really nice on the eye. So really, it's just the fact that 4 out of these shades, especially because this is one of the, I believe some of them are, let's see, 5, so 15, and some of them are 8. I don't know, some of them are smaller and some of them are bigger. The math is not mathing right now. I'm not gonna go through and count the pans, but this is a good one. It just is sort of like mid-range for me. We are now already starting to get into where I was like, ugh, I feel bad having this ranked so low because I really like this palette. But it's like when you have over 20 palettes, they can't all be in the top like 50%, right? Okay, so the next one, and this really is more than anything, this is for me color story and the way that I would want to wear these colors. Fairy Tale Europe. This is one of the newer palettes. It is pretty. I mean, if you love cotton candy, yum yum vibes in your shimmers, you will really like this palette. The thought of having very colorful shimmers and more neutral mattes is great. I really just wish, there's just something in here for me when I sat down to use this, I felt a little bit limited in what I would use. And I think I said that in the video where it's like, it made sense for me to combine the pinks into one look. And then after that, I really had to sit and think of how I wanted to combine things. I also feel like all of these neutrals lean to the cool side. And so that can be a little bit limiting. So it's like the concept was 80% there for me, but the execution just didn't quite nail it. However, the packaging, the story, like the vibe of this is great. And if you like these, like I said, Candyland type shades, I think that you would enjoy this. I enjoyed all the looks that I got out of this. And a couple of these shades are just so pretty, like that Prince Charming shade. This one is super fun. I remember loving wearing that shade. This is a great one. It's just not one that I personally will reach for a ton. Okay, so now these next two, if I could, I would place them, I think, in a tie. It really just depends on, I know for me right now, I'm ranking these because of the type of makeup that I am wearing and the type of eye looks that I'm wearing. So I'm putting in next, oh, by the way, Whistler Snow Lodge, not available. The one that I'm putting in next is the Keys Beachy and Peachy palette. So this palette is gorgeous. It's stunning. It's so much fun. I really need to play with this one more. I actually want to, when I was going through all these, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pull this one out right now for like just some fun vibes. Like I will definitely enjoy getting more use out of this. These hyper vivid colors are not something that I'm reaching for a lot right now. I know that if I dip into this, I will also be like maybe pulling in my companion palette for some grounding, like neutral mattes, or using some of these fun shimmers with like maybe like a sandy neutral basic B sort of like coppery or golden shade or something. Like this is just a lot of color and that's not quite where my vibe is right now. If it is yours, totally have fun with it. So that being said, this next one right now is literally just ranking on top of that one a little bit because this is more my speed right now. I did put this one in my spring palette picks. This is the Paradise Islands palette. Also very colorful, but you know, it's more like pastel, but more, right? It's like softer, but not chalky. And I love the mattes in this. Like you've got some fun shades here. I remember really liking all of the looks that I came up with. And for me, this is where I want color right now. I want it to be color, but doing less. Like I could very easily just blur out, like almost kind of like what I did today. Just blur out that shimmer, get a little bit of shape with a matte, or just, I mean, like I could see just this green matte on my eye, being cute, calling it a day. So I really do like this one, but I mean, really, when you look at these two together, it's sort of like the Keys palette looks like it was kind of like plugged into a neon sign, and the Paradise Islands palette is just a little bit softer, but kind of in that same realm. You get more yellows out of this one, but you know, sort of both all color. Anytime I get an all color palette, I'm always like, oh, I would love to have a few neutrals in here, but I can always just pull out my companion palette. By the way, if you haven't seen what the heck I'm talking about, I will link the video down below of me building my companion palette. I do need to do an update. I should do an update right now and just like recreate it a little bit, but it's just that it's the palette that I have as a companion to what I feel like is missing from a lot of other palettes. So I did just want to make note that the Paradise Islands palette sadly is not available. Okay, this next one also isn't available, and I think that this might, was this my first Nomad palette? I honestly don't know, but this is America's Parks. I loved this one. I absolutely love this one with good reason. It's got color, but it is a little bit softer. I think you can see, especially after the couple that I just pulled out, they're a little bit more earthy. Everything in here performs really nicely. And these were when I came to know the shimmer formula that Nomad is known for, where it's like, let me see if I can find one of these shades to show you. They have a fun base color and then like a secondary shimmer shade that runs through it. So hopefully you can see, this is the shade, the Narrows, and it's like a, you know, pretty like bronzy orangey with this goldy copper fleck in it. And that was what I really loved about this formula. That's also like what I got out of that lid shade. I love this. It's special, but not doing too much. And it also is very textured lid friendly as far as shimmers go, because it's not that like molten thing that tends to like really emphasize texture or wrinkles on the lids. It also goes on really smooth. I will say I have found with a few shimmer formulas from Nomad over the years that sometimes they tend to not go on in that way. So I do love this formula from the brand. I think it's really what they like do very excellently, that they do with excellence. Okay, so we have that one. So now this next one, I remember really loving this color story. I think it is, I mean, best in wintertime for sure. Do I wish that there were a couple neutral shades in here? Yes, I do. Of course. The Chamonix Après-Ski palette. This is pretty. It's lovely. I mean, when I got this in, I was like, yep, gonna use this one a lot. I'm living a little bit more in my purple era. Greens give me all the greens. Even the blues in here like worked really well. I mean, the Shot Ski, this is like such a beautiful like sapphire blue shade. The, what is that? Mountain Chalet. This one, I think though, this is more of like a topper, and it's a little bit more into that like periwinkle and purple, periwinkle and like bluey purple type shade. So not a light frosty blue, you know, like I don't want that. I don't mind the powdery blue here. I think that that can really add to a look, but like that super light frosty shade of a shimmer, I never get down with. It's just not my fave. I also really enjoyed the two like translucent sort of multi-chromy shades in here, at least duochromes. I thought that they were pretty. So really enjoy this one. It is one that I will probably just continue to pull out in the winter time. So again, love it. I can't place them all at the top. All right, these next two. Again, I feel like if I did this again, I might flip-flop these. I just couldn't decide. So Royal Europe from Nomad. So this, I believe, was the first palette where Nomad launched like true, what we think of as like multi-chromes with a capital M. They also, though, are multi-chromes that if you are an indie singles lover, you probably already had in your collection. But if you are new to that world or you don't want to bother with singles, like you just want everything in a palette, it was so fun to have these. The mattes in here are so rich, so juicy, so beautiful. I feel like pretty much all of these worked really well. I feel like it might have been... There was one sort of bluey teal palette in one of these palettes that didn't perform super well, and it might have been this one, but I cannot remember. I do think that blues can be kind of hard to do, but rich, yummy, loved it. The only thing is these have that thin formula. I did find, and you know, I don't have oily eyes, but I do have hooded eyes. So I did find that I needed to use a good primer so that these didn't crease on me, because like if I didn't, by the time I got to work, they were already creasing, which is kind of a bummer. So that is one thing to be aware of. They do have that like slippy, almost like silicone primer feel to them. I honestly feel like this is something that I will mostly be pulling out for the mattes, because they are just so, so gorgeous. That one, by the way, is still available, and also the multi-chromes are available individually for 12 bucks. All right, another one that is still available and absolutely gorgeous. I was so excited when I got this one. This was one I just connected with in an unexpected way, and that's New Zealand Stargazing. What I find that this one has that Royal Europe doesn't is the values, like the light and depth of shades. I want a palette that has deep mattes. I want a palette that has light mattes and midtones. And I also want a palette that has a couple inner corner shades that will work for me. And this one does have it all. Is it a color story that I usually lean into, blues and purples? No. Do I think that they did this incredibly well? Yes, absolutely love this one. I know that I'm gonna have to make a point to pull this one out the minute like fall and winter hits this year, because I have neglected this one. So absolutely love this. You also have some shades that lean a little bit towards neutral, right? We've got this one that's a bit more on the warm, almost leaning into peachy matte. This one is that like dusky, sort of like beigey gray. So really love these. And anytime that there's a black in a palette, I really like that. Okay, so now all of these I decided to lump together. I think it is sort of fitting to have them somewhere in the middle because since these are little mini palettes, it's hard to gauge them next to big mega palettes. And of course, I'm talking about all the Nomad Air palettes. So I'm going to give you my rankings of them. They are still available other than the OG. That one is out of stock. Okay, so the one that's at the bottom of these four for me is the Canadian Rockies palette. You might be surprised because it's greens, but it is also blues. And one thing about this is both of these shimmers for me they're both like in that mid to dark. So if I'm going to pull this one out, I'm going to get a dark lidded look. And that isn't something that I always want. In fact, I am just finding as I get a little bit older, unless I'm doing like a full-on smoky eye where I am doing a dark lid and a dark crease kind of blowing it out, I don't want a really dark lid. I just feel like it ages me a bit. Like if I'm going to go dark, it needs to be dark and I need to blow it out a lot just to like keep that eye space open. But if it's just like a lid shade, it's just not as flattering and I just feel older. So it's mostly personal preference. Great quality. This was great. No problems there. The next one, and it would be one that I would honestly pair a lot with this to sort of get that balance that I need, is the Oslo palette. So this one, I'm just putting it down a little bit more because it is more on the cool tone side, which while I absolutely can appreciate and wear now, it isn't something that I reach for all the time. Beautiful. Just a beautiful palette. I could definitely see, like, if you love this color story here, and that's one thing that I loved about these palettes, is you could very easily take most of them and combine two of them together to get a really nice little, like, 12 pan. So that, to me, just creates a more balanced color story. All right, the next one is the original Little Baby. I loved this palette, and I do think that it is great for exactly what this collection was intended for, to be little travel palettes. This is a nice, I would say honestly, more of like a true neutral, maybe dipping slightly into cool, but not in that like taupey gray area. So this one was pretty. I absolutely love it. Sad you can't get it anymore. I do understand though that this is probably a palette that I would bet that true Nomad lovers purchased, but that is not something that everyone needs. But maybe it also drew in some neutral lovers who hadn't really been with the brand before, but we probably all have all these shades, right? There's nothing necessarily unique in here, but it is the convenience of having it all in one place. All right, that means that the one at the top for me is the Abu Dhabi palette. You're probably not surprised, right? So the thing about this is you have more of these rosy toned worms and then you have the more bronzy orangey toned worms. I love having them together. I'll use them separate. I'll mix them. Again, I could mix this with the Nomad Air to have more neutrals in here. It's great. I've traveled with this one a lot. I do also feel like these palettes travel really well. The formulas aren't so precious that they will bust the minute like anyone breathes on them. So I have traveled with these quite a bit. Here, I do also want to make a note. So we're talking about Nomad Air. I know we're only talking about eyeshadow palettes right now, but can I just make a note for the Nomad Air face cream? When I got that, the brand sent me over the little kit that came with the original palette and all of the products. So the facial spray, the salve lip balm, and then the facial cream. That moisturizer is so nice. It's so nice. It reminds me a lot of the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream. Very similar, just a no frills, unscented, beautiful hydrating cream. Comes in a little aluminum tin that you could reuse, recycle, I'm pretty sure. Knowing the brand, it's recyclable. I will say at full price, at cracking in around $50, I feel like for the formula, it's a little bit high. But if you can find it on sale, they are still available. If you can get a sale, I definitely recommend giving it a go. I tell you what, for the longest time, I had that sitting here on my vanity, and it would be my, oh my God, I forgot to put a moisturizer on. I guess I need to put something on before I put on my makeup. It was like, I know this is gonna work. I also enjoyed putting it on my hands because it didn't like make the cracks in my hairdresser hands sting. I also found that it worked as a great mixing agent if I wanted to sheer out a foundation. So really love that product. Okay, more eyeshadow palettes, shall we? Okay, this is the time where everyone gets to guess what my number one would be. We are down to the top 6, y'all. We're down to the top 6, the sexy 6. And I am curious to know what you guys think it will be. So let me know. But without further ado, coming in at number 6 is the newest launch. This is, of course, the Route 66 palette. I just think this is a great one, honestly. Again, I think that a lot of what puts this smack dab like in the upper mid, the lower upper, whatever we're gonna say, out of my collection is the balance here. You have beautiful deep tones, you have mid-tones, you have a couple lighter shades, you've got some fun pops of candy colors, you have some beautiful, more like luminescent shades. We've got, I mean, I'm telling you, this shade, Winslow, is like hearkening back to that formula that I love from the brand. Love it. I would love it even more if this shade was full. If it hadn't come to me cracked with pan already, I know that this would probably be a shade I would hit pan on. I'm really gonna have a lot of fun with that palette. So thanks to the brand for sending that one over, along with all of the other palettes that they've sent over in PR. Okay, the next one. You might be surprised. You might be surprised to see this one here. I was sort of surprised to see this one here when I was going through Okavango Safari. So I love this palette. I do love this palette. I mean, it's got everything I love. It's got some warm tones. It's got greens. It's got this gray silver shade that I never use. That's about the only one that I never use. This is a pretty well-loved palette. The thing is, though, and I'm going to be curious to see. So I absolutely loved that Nile Crocodile shade in here. That like, is it green? Is it gold? I don't know. I love that shade. I also really enjoyed the Leaping Leshways, but I put this palette on the other day and I enjoyed the experience with the mattes. It was great, but this Leaping Leshways shade, and I'm probably saying that wrong, it didn't go so well. It didn't go so well on my eyes. It had that sort of, when I put it on with a flat shader, it packed on in places, skipped in some places, and like was like thick and then like thin and see-through, thick and then thin and see-through. And I have found that happen with a couple shades in Nomad palettes before. So I don't remember that happening when I first got this palette. Could it be that this one is just getting older? Maybe. It does feel, it doesn't feel dry in the pan, but it does feel a little bit dry. Honestly, even as I'm like trying to spread this out, you're not going to be able to see this, and my fingers are stained from other shades. But as I'm trying to like use my hand to manipulate this into my skin, it's emphasizing the wrinkles. Like it's not sitting in right. So it could just be formulaic. I don't know, but love the color story. It's a bummer that I don't know if these have changed. So I'm going to have to play with this in a little bit more. Will I probably still keep it around because I love the mattes in here? Yes, absolutely. This one. I love this, and this one isn't available anymore. I am kind of shocked. I would love to see the brand bring this one back, maybe in the fall. I would love to see just like a little relaunch for anyone that missed out on this one. Hudson Valley, y'all, this is gorgeous. It's so pretty. Let me tell you, my fall vibes live within this, like, this red is so pretty, this like mulberry shade. This corner here is just giving me all of the fall basic V vibes. But over here, we have these like dusky, earthy greens. Love this. The shimmers in here are okay. Are they anything to write home about? No, not necessarily. Especially, I think the two warm shades, they're okay. I love the green shade. These two just, they perform all right. They perform all right. They're not super shiny. They're in that sort of more like satiny. Even the green is like in like a mid-tone satin. But I love the mattes in here, and I can always pull out other shimmers. So I do really love that one, and the color story just makes my heart so happy. So did you get this one? Did you miss it? Do you wish that they brought it back? Let me know. Okay. You're probably not going to be surprised to see this one towards the top of the list. As a green lover, how could I possibly not put the Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette towards the tippy top? Greens, y'all. So many greens. So many beautiful greens. And you might think, why the heck are all of these greens in here? they all really do have a bit of an individual cast to them. I do think probably a couple, like these two greens, you could have replaced one of them with something else. You know that I probably didn't need this blue in here, but overall, this is a beautiful palette. My one gripe is that there really isn't anything in here that I can use as an inner corner, because even like the lightest page, this Savage Beauty page, even the lightest shade, it's one of those more thick metallic formulas that even if you dust it on, when it's not in the light, when it's in the shadow, it's going to look darker. So I do have to pull something out if I do want to do an inner corner. The thing is I just really haven't been doing inner corners recently, so that is okay by me. I love this one. She's a beaut. I should probably pull it out right this time of year. I tell you what, this is why you just need, well, I probably need less makeup, but also like more visuals, more visuals. I need to be able to see my makeup more. Okay, so that one is at 3. These two, I did not, I went back and forth. And I finally just had to like go with my gut. I think that this next palette, I was just so excited for this one, and y'all, it breaks my heart that I did not do a dedicated video on this one because I just didn't have time when I got the palette in, but it is so good. It is so good. Chicago Speakeasy. Like I've hearkened its praises. I've hearkened my love. I don't know. I've done some hearkening on this one. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. All the shimmers, beautiful, like yummy. I don't have enough words. I have at the same time not enough words and way too many words to say about this palette. It is just lovely. I have had fun every time I've used this palette. While these shimmers have a bit more of that silicone-y vibe, I haven't had quite as much creasing with this. Maybe it is because now with these shades, I usually do use a glitter glue of some sort. It's just so yummy. I mean, these shades are so, like, this just makes me think of like a beautiful whiskey cocktail, which is totally my jam. Over here, we're maybe using some absinthe, right? Like, I don't know about this. What would purples? I don't know, but they're gorgeous. And I love that these are all more of that muted purple. It's not like in your face purples. This one's pretty. And the packaging is just so stunning. So stunning with that like Art Deco vibe. All right, for our Tippy Top palette, if you know my collection very well, you probably know which one this is at this point. Ghost Town, USA. I have a feeling this is probably at the top of a lot of people's palette rankings for this brand. I just love this. And this was launched right at the time that I was sort of tipping into wearing more cool tones. And let me tell you, looking at this, the only thing that I can say about this palette is, again, we don't really have a shade that I can wear as an inner corner. Technically, I could fudge it with Tombstone, but that's it. And I don't even care because this is the best earthy, murky, like stony colored palette. It is just so darn good. It's gorgeous. Every shade in here performs beautifully. I have had no problems. It's great. I love it. Falling in love with this one so much made me want to get the Haunted Europe palette because, you know, they're sort of, I mean, they're not really sisters, but you know, they sort of are. And I was like, oh, it would just be so nice to have the two spooky palettes. But every time I look at the color story, I'm like, it's good. I think I love this one more. Like, it's just a bit more cohesive for me. There are more like different fun color combinations in the Haunted Europe palette. I just know that this one, it's like that no-brainer. I can pull it out and create a look, no problem. Like, oh, it's just so good. They did so good with this one. This is one of those, like, if I were a true makeup hoarder, like I probably would have considered myself before. This is one of those like, gosh, do I need a backup of this palette? Because someday, what if it drops? What if something happens? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But it is so good that this gets the A++ Keep Beauty Real stamp of approval. Definitely one to pick up. By the way, as far as I can see, those two palettes are on the website right now. Is that right? Yeah, they are both. Both the Haunted Europe and this. Actually, I did make note of all the palettes that aren't available. So if I didn't say that, they are available. Yeah. Okay. This has been a long one. And I feel like now, like after like the sort of like adrenaline rush of making the choices and having to like defend myself to myself and also to you, I'm feeling jacked. So thank you for hanging out with me. I'm gonna bring it down a notch. Thanks for hanging out with me for this. What I would love to know is what your #1 Nomad palette is, or if there's one that maybe you missed the boat on that is like the one that got away palette. I would love to know that as well. This has been a really fun video. I hope that my thoughts on the new Route 66 palette helped you if you are looking into that one. And again, if you do decide to shop the site for any of these palettes, my code KEEPBEAUTYREAL will save you on your purchase. Again, it's not affiliated, but in all honesty, it does let brands know whose content people are enjoying and learning from when you do use a creator code. So if it's not me, if you love someone else's content more, use their code. But I do really appreciate you using mine if you do. But it's been fun getting to hang out with you and chat about all of these eyeshadow palettes. It's always a good day when I get to ramble on about eyeshadow. Thank you so much, lovelies. And by the way, if you have any questions about any of these palettes or any comments about any of them, drop them down below and I will see you really soon. I'm real scared, y'all. I am scared. I'm gonna try to do it. We're gonna do it real quick. Oh God, this is gonna be bad. All right, can we do it?